Welcome to the Smash News Network spaced out viewers. Welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash and Mash, coming at you from space. The Smash News Network, least busted name in news, as we bring you the most detailed imagery of the sun and the most comprehensive space weather you'll find in the known universe. This is a composite of the last 24 hours from SDO, 2 different species of ionized iron, to see multiple coronal mass ejections. Let's don't forget the Kanye West filament, which we named on Twitter. Follow us over there at Smash-O-Mash. This filament up here, the Kanye West filament. Let us know in the comments if you think it's going to destroy civilization. Here is the northwestern limb. We've also got a crown prominence going on up here. You see all this plasma moving around up at the north solar polar region. Don't worry, we've got the southwest limb as well. Some CMEs happening around that area. Flaring has been low. Coronal mass ejections have been occurring. Last but not least, here is the southeastern limb. We do have a new active region rising right about there, and it is looking like it might be quite spectacular indeed. So if you enjoy the content, take a moment to press like, subscribe, share, etc. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. Thanks to everybody who has, especially our gold and silver members. There's also a bronze membership level if you're unable and or unwilling to open your cobweb-encrusted wallet and send us a few bucks per month to ensure that the content continues to exist, remain publicly visible, and free for all to view. You can find all kinds of links there as well on the Smash Team page at smashomash.com/Smash Team. The best value is the gold annual paid-up subscription level. Thanks again to our Smash Team members. You can find links to the Hemp Lucid products there as well, so try those out if you haven't. All kinds of different solutions, whether it's for focus, for sleep. Try the Delta 8s if you are feeling adventurous. Multiple different types of mushroom products, as well as CBD lip balm, body balm, CBD for your pets, and lots more. Thanks to everybody who's picked up items from the Hemp Lucid shop. High quality items there. Shout out to Hemp Lucid. And let's see what's erupting as far as volcanoes. Shivaluch tops out our list here with a 13,000-foot ash plume as it explodes on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Abiko producing a 9,000-foot ash plume on Paramushir Island. Subanose Jima exploding. Flight level 060. It's a 6,000-foot ash plume over the Ryukyu Islands. Krakatau, one of the best names for a volcano ever, exploding, producing a 1,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico, flight level 200, 20,000-foot ash plume, 16,000-foot ash plume from Fuego over Guatemala. Headed down to South America, Nevado del Ruiz exploding, flight level 190 over Colombia from Nevado del Ruiz. 2 suspects in Ecuador, Sangay and Cotopaxi, both exploding. 22,000-foot ash plume from Cotopaxi, 20,000-foot ash plume from Sangay, 24,000-foot ash plume over Sabancaya in Peru as it explodes. It's a flight level 240. As far as earthquakes go, there's the 90-day bar graph, conveniently created by volcanodiscovery.com. And here is our rundown. No major quakes over the past 24 hours. There were some in the mid-5 magnitude range. Philippines had a 5.0. Indonesia had a 5.1. The Baleine Islands region, very far south there, a very unpopulated portion of the planet, basically in the Southern Ocean there, had, I believe that is the largest quake, a 5.5 and a 5.6. So a little bit of a seismic uptick there, folks, and remember how to speak the English language. Any earthquake can be a foreshock. There was a 5.0 on the North Island of New Zealand. Also a 5.0 at Indonesia, a 5.6 at the Central Mid-Atlantic Ridge. South Sandwich Islands had a 5.3 and a 5.0. Kiribati region near the Gilbert Islands. I never heard of it. 5.4 there in the West Pacific. The Recannes Ridge had a 5.4 as well. A little bit of a earthquake uptick there since yesterday. Again, I would reiterate, any earthquake can be a foreshock, be an asset, not a liability in the event of a disaster. And we are back. And welcome back to space. And thanks for stargazing with us at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. So this is the extended corona, that's 193 angstroms, as well as ionized helium, that's 304 angstroms. And yeah, some CMEs happening there you can see in the southern hemisphere. Over here and over here. Some filamentary collapse and some filamentary ejection. Let's subtract the 193 angstroms and only look at the ionized helium by itself. And let's get into some additional solar data here. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux is now at 149 solar flux units. If you're wondering what a solar flux unit is, it is 10,000 joules of radio flux density. It comes from the upper chromosphere and lower corona, and it's the most proportional data set we have to sunspot number. There you have the red line, the sunspot number. Black line, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux. Indeed, directly proportional data sets. And let's take a look at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, forecasting some mild geomagnetic storm conditions. By the way, we've had a massive uptick here in the magnetic field. So check it out. Magnetic field now up to 19 nanotesla. So huge increase there in the magnetic field. And NOAA is forecasting some incoming co-interacting regions. So that means a combination of coronal hole and coronal mass ejection inputs. Again, we did see a huge uptick here in the magnetic field, and that could put us into sudden geomagnetic storm conditions. We could even see a KP6 with the current conditions, as we haven't seen a big uptick in the solar wind. We'll get to that here in a moment. First, the KP index. So we are currently in geomagnetic unrest just this side of geomagnetic storm conditions at a KP 4.67, and it's mainly just because of that huge increase in the magnetic field. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours. It's our Geospace Magnetosphere movie. And we do have a high-pressure environment here. Let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And we've been seeing some auroral imagery shared. Yet another reason to follow us on Twitter at SmashoMash. So there's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. It's our ground magnetic perturbations map, one of the many outputs of the space weather modeling framework. Next, moving to the real-time solar wind, and this is the real story right here. Check out this sudden shift. A huge uptick there in the magnetic field, and the BZ has shifted into positive territory. If the BZ had stayed negative, we would be at a KP6 right now, probably. Certainly a KP5 plus. And it looks like the geomagnetic unrest conditions are going to subside here. We've got a highly positive BZ now, so it's BT 19 nanotesla, BZ is positive 6. Solar wind density is 3.83 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed just under 400 kilometers per second. And let's move on to magnetic data. There are your GOES magnetometers. Their magnetometers are located on the spacecraft, by the way. They orbit at about 22,500 miles of altitude. And let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet next. The solar plasma, it is polar. The Earth is currently bathed in some South Pole-oriented solar plasma. As you can see here, South Pole current sheet here shown in red, North Pole current sheet shown here in green. Here's our line of sight plot showing the solar B field in blue. Solar polar fields in red for south, green for north, and let's move to coronal holes. A super important feature of a solar cycle. Coronal holes, they show us the solar magnetic field reversal process. And here is the last 48 hours from SDO. Very well-defined coronal hole there in the northern hemisphere. And we've got other coronal holes here rotating into the east. So we've got additional South Pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here. We can expect to see these become more well-defined in the coming days through all of that bumpy coronal plasma. The corona, it's very bumpy. And it does obscure features regularly, such as coronal holes. We'll be talking sunspots next. We don't have any new sunspots, and the sunspots we have in the earthly-facing portion of the solar disk are largely stable for the past 24 hours. Here is the last 24 from SDO composite. That's 304 angstroms plus SDO continuum. You can see that CME propagating there in the south. Will it destroy all civilization? Are you hoping it destroys all civilization? Have you been helping to undermine civilization since March of 2020? Are you intentionally undermining civilization? Let us know in the comments, perhaps under an alias, so that people don't track you down and cause bad things to occur to you. There's SDO continuum by itself, and let's move in a little bit closer. So that is the last 24 hours from the SDO continuum. Next, we will do energetic particles and solar flares. As far as relativistic particles, still haven't seen any. Flaring has been minimal also. So there is our solar flare profile over the past 3 days. Don't get them confused, folks. Solar flares are X-rays, aka photons, high-frequency ionizing electromagnetic radiation. Coronal mass ejections are ionized gas, primarily hydrogen nuclei. So there's your X-ray profile. We are in a C-class background output there, but pretty minimal amount of flaring happening. The potential for major flares does certainly exist. So let's take a look at our flaring wavelengths here. This is 131 angstroms. A great example of how you don't need to see solar flares, at least major solar flares, to see major coronal mass ejections. They are separate phenomenon, and while they are often correlated, we have no causal relationship. Here we've added 94 angstroms. Now we've got both 94 plus 131. And let's subtract the 131 and show just 94. So it looks like two active regions are rising here, one in the north, a very significant one in the south. By the by, if you enjoy the content, press like and subscribe. Tell your friends and foes about us. We believe the algorithms are suppressing the content. Why? Because reasons. Facts. They became even more controversial in 2020. We were citing facts all the way back in 2016 about the pathetic censorship of certain criminal organizations. Big tech. If you haven't checked out the 12 Days of Smashmas, check them out. We released original music the first 12 days of December. There are all kinds of other playlists with additional content there. Driving, riding, and pro tips, ownage, food and drink, and lots more. Press like, press subscribe, press share, press comment. And thanks to our YouTube subscribers for tolerating the pathetic, disgusting, putrid, ridiculous censorship on the platform, lo the past pushing 6 years. If you want to help us out with some merch, Give Smash staff a raise by picking up some merch. We recently released a brand new design because reasons. Why were so many bad decisions made? Because reasons, folks. Because reasons. Certain bureaucracies are looking out for you, right? They're making your life so much better and so much safer with all of their great decisions. Pardon the sarcasm. Today's featured product is Mensa because, well, it is our goal on the channel to make Earth not suck again. It's part of the reason why we make the content. So here's the hat, and I can't wear it today because here's a little fashion advice. Don't wear black with navy blue. The hat's black. The shirt's navy blue. Don't do it, folks. Don't do it. For goodness sakes, folks. However, do make Earth not suck again. Got advice about our content? How about make some content yourself? We get a lot of advice from folks that don't create content. And if you think Elon has fixed censorship on the internet, he has not made Earth not suck again by, quote, fixing free speech. What a joke. It's just another investment scam as far as I'm concerned, just like Tesla and Bitcoin and Dogecoin. Twitter, it's an investment scam. However, it is a great place to exchange information. So perhaps follow us over there as we endeavor to make Earth not suck again. Yes, for the betterment of all mankind. It's part of the mission of the channel. If you want to read about our mission, head to smashomash.com/forum/mission. There is a forum there as well, so you can say whatever you like. And by the way, we're free speech purists. We believe that all legal speech should be encouraged. Anyway, here's your star chart. This is what's going on over Lehigh Valley, and it's a pretty boring sky, really, at the moment. We've got no sun, no moon, and no planets up there at the moment. Although we do have Deneb, the most bright intrinsic object visible from our solar system. Yes. It is an X-ray binary, a high-mass X-ray binary. You can read about that on the Cosmology Forum at smashomash.com/forum. Read all about Deneb, the other celestial pole star at the other end of the precessional cycle. Anyway, here's your solar system forecast. We'll advance this 1 week as we are approaching a full moon, which will be on the 7th. There's where things will be in 7 days. On the 11th, we will have a gibbous waning moon by the 11th. So check out these CMEs. We covered one of these yesterday, and a second one occurred a little bit later than that from the southwestern limb. That's 103 frames from George Mason University. The first one is certainly not earthly directed, and the second one also not earthly directed. Here are 39 more frames from today, and let's take a look at the view from the Soho Lasco C3. We would be delighted to show you more information from Stereo A, but the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center is not showing any data. It's showing data from last year. It's not earthly directed. We don't see any kind of a definitive halo eruption associated with that particular CME. There were some other ejecta events occurring at the same time, but they do not look like they are earthly directed. They are separate events. There's the last 24 hours. Let's zoom out to show some additional plasma. There you go. There's the C3 in blue. And how about even farther? By the way, there's another comet here. We've picked up another comet accidentally right down here. You'll see this comet coming into view. Let's go back here. Does it show up in the Soho Lasco C2? It does not. So probably disintegrated there. Another comet accidentally showing up on the imagery. We'll take it. It's spectacular. and welcome to space. It's not scary. The sun, it's not going to kill you. Terrible decisions by humans might kill you, but the sun, not going to do it. Maybe if you're an astronaut or if you're doing regular polar flights. Besides that, not going to kill you. And we've got a huge number of filaments here on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Additional coronal mass ejections are at nearly 100%. Will the Kanye West filament make it all the way to the west side? It's got to cross the solar meridian first. And I think we've got other filaments that need naming, like these two in the south. Certainly this one here. I mean, that is definitely... Let's bring up the latest image. And say once again on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Smashomash. We're saying name that filament. This is the Kanye West filament. But what will those other filaments be named? Well, we'll leave it up to you, the viewer. And we challenge you to actually see our tweets on your feed, since the pathetic deboosting, aka shadow bans, continue. No, Elon hasn't fixed jack shit. Next, the last couple of hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. Yes, he's exposed malfeasance by certain organizations and collusion between the government and big tech organizations. However, he has left deboosting features intact. Check out the huge crown prominence. Yowzers! That is a berserk crown prominence up there. That one should probably get a name. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Here is the last 24 hours in the same wavelength, 304 angstroms. That's ionized helium. That's the SDO with its narrower field of view and higher resolution. Ah, the SDO. It's good times. And that brings us to our bonus features, which start out with satellite charging hazards. We've got some minor surface charging hazards here over the Pacific Ocean and much of Mexico. Again, those are minor. Those are surface charging hazards caused by low-energy electrons building up on the outside of satellites. Here is our GOES electron flux. The GOES 16 and GOES 17 measure the electron flux from their geosynchronous orbits using radiography at the F layer of the ionosphere, which is located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. And we're seeing a big dip here, as we are seeing some solar plasma showing up here. Again, I talked about that very strong field showing up. NOAA forecasting a dip here in the relativistic electrons. I would tend to agree. They are expecting the onset of a coronal mass ejection as well as a coronal hole high-speed stream. So as far as that goes, that looks like an accurate forecast to me. Here's the one-year chart to put it in context. Expecting lower levels in the coming days and some geomagnetic storm conditions. Next, we'll look at the F layer of the ionosphere by itself. One slice of the atmosphere located right here at about 300 kilometers of altitude. This is the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. So the South Atlantic anomaly has moved into the South Pacific. It's just a fact. It looks like it's a permanent feature. How that could be if jets of molten iron at the outer core are causing Earth's magnetic field to be generated could occur. I have no idea how that could possibly be, unless really large features within the planet have suddenly moved, something I don't believe since there haven't been massive earthquakes in the area. In any case, the South Atlantic anomaly has moved into the South Pacific. That is the raw vibrational frequency of the F layer of the ionosphere. We'll also show the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. The South Atlantic anomaly is now where my arrow is located instead of over the South American continent. So also huge enduring anomalies happening over the Central Atlantic, Central Pacific, and South America itself. These low-frequency anomalies have been going on for a solid week now. That is what's going on in the F layer. Anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. We'll bring up the latest image next. There it is. That's 11:30 Universal Time ionogram and 11:45 Universal Time ionogram. At the moment, lots of high-frequency anomalies happening. And let's move to the total electron content next. The total electron content shows the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. That's located about 12,500 miles of altitude, the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. Here is the still image from Australian Government Bureau Meteorology, the total electron content map, and here is your animated imagery. We can expect huge GPS errors to continue over North America as this tends to get more chaotic when we see dips in the electron flux, which we are currently seeing. So you can expect nighttime GPS errors around the equator, lots of free electrons sort of out of place as they are usually focused on the equator at noontime. The most likely place to see a GPS error, historically speaking, at the moment. Lots of GPS errors in other locations. Your GPS could be off by thousands of miles as a result of that. By the way, this video was originally streamed live to Twitch. If you haven't checked it out, twitch.tv/smashamash. All kinds of content you won't be able to see otherwise. Some content that you can't even see because we unpublish the videos. So if you don't catch them live, you'll have to see them on YouTube or on BitChute. If you're viewing the videos on BitChute, make sure you subscribe over on YouTube. You're missing most of the content. We are only putting the videos on BitChute to help to promote the content. Smashamash.com is the homepage, and welcome to the Neo Renaissance. You can find our links and lots more there. So check that out. We are still on Patreon as well. The credit crawl is coming back. We're running a little bit late on the credit crawl, but we will come back with the credit crawl. Don't worry. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. You can also find a link to SureMed. Do yourself a favor. After doing us a favor by clicking our links, do yourself a favor by becoming a member of the American Better Health Organization, DBA SureMed. You get all kinds of features like doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, discounts on pharmacy products. You can save a ton of cash with the discounts associated with a SureMed membership. Make me your agent of record. Visit my link and join via me. I am a licensed Medicare insurance agent in 28 states. If you're looking for Medicare insurance, I've got you covered as far as that goes as well. Let's take a look at the latest intensitygram and latest solar magnetogram. We've got quite a lot of sunspots, and we've got a new group rising over here. Is it a sunspot? It doesn't look like it. I don't see an umbra. I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to bring up a different image. As we usually look at the orange image, might be a little bit easier to see ombre at the limb. No sunspot there. And we do see this active region here rising. I suspect that probably is a sunspot. Again, these other groups have been mostly stable for the past 24. So far, this is only a plage, and this is likely a large and active sunspot group. Now it's time to move to meteorology, because we figured we'd throw in the bonus features here, going all the way into the realm of bonus features with our meteorology segment. The Smash News Network leaves busted name and news sites facts, not propaganda, fraud, nonsense, disinformation, and general crap on YouTube. Now let's take a look at some low pressure systems here. So this is the first thing we're doing. We're taking a little rectal thermometer reading here of Earth's pressure. So we've got a very low pressure system there, 962 hectopascals in the Southern Ocean. That's pretty low pressure, right? Check this out. We've got a 962 hectopascal low off the coast of California. That is a very powerful low, and it's going to be bringing lots of moisture to the state of California. So there's the pressure of the eastern world, and we're going to switch to winds. So there are the surface winds of the east. Shout out to our viewers from all around the planet. We hope you are enjoying the year 2023. And I would remind you that our finest days lie ahead. Make Earth not suck again. It's up to you, not bureaucrats that can't get out of their own way. Those are the jet streams of the eastern world. Jet stream blowing backwards here over the western Pacific, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, etc. Well-defined jet stream over the northwestern Pacific. Here are the jet streams of the western world. Surface winds of the western world looking like this. Some very strong winds there off the coast of California as well. At least 60 miles an hour. It's nearly a hurricane force wind scenario there. Here are the surface winds of the central world, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And here are the jet streams. And let's move into some additional weather information. Here's what's going on over the Americas. It's 3.9 nanometer radiation. As the satellite soars over the croissant-shaped Earth, NASA projects it onto a spherical Photoshop image to convince people that Earth is not indeed croissant-shaped, but that it is indeed an oblate spheroid. Come to grips with reality, folks. Earth is croissant-shaped. Let us know in the comments if you've been using sheep's bladders to prevent earthquakes. Next, our weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county. We're going to scroll down to show the key as we've got severe thunderstorms in places like Alabama and Georgia. So there's the key. Again, if your county or waterway are lit, click your area. Get your weather warnings from weather.gov. And let's look at some forecasts. So here's our GFS 72-hour forecast, and you see all that moisture moving into California. Indeed, that low shall bring quite a bit of precipitation. So that's pressure and precipitation based on the GFS model for the next 72 hours. We've got some ice coming to portions of New York and Canada. Here is your total accumulated precipitation, expecting like 5 inches of rain in portions of northern California there. And since some of that precipitation will be snow, we'll show the snow accumulation forecast as well. These are all the same model, the GFS 72-hour. That is your accumulated positive snow depth change in inches. And you're looking at like 4 additional feet of snow there for portions of, at least 3 feet of additional snow there for portions of California. Places around Mammoth, for example. And let's move on to our windy.com map. And let's let this advance to see how this low is going to move. That is our pressure map from windy.com. Let's let this advance. As that low, it looks like it's breaking down a little bit and moving a bit to the north. Moving toward Vancouver there, according to the European forecast model. Multiple lows there in the northern Pacific. Yowzers, that is a low-pressure environment for the North Pacific for sure. And a very strong low also there to the west of Ireland. So there's where things will be at 1400 hours on Saturday. And let's take a look at our lightning mapper to see severe lightning here stretching from New Orleans all the way to South Carolina, all the way to North Carolina, really. And let's check and see what active cells are going on now. We certainly saw some when we did show prep. And that thunderstorm continues there. That is a strong band. Hey, Atlanta. If you're in a tall building, go take some imagery of that thunderstorm. You might see some sprites above the cloud tops. It's about the right distance there. Something like 60 kilometers is a great distance to image sprites, which is upper atmospheric lightning. Lightning well above the cloud tops. And thanks for leaving a comment, Mike Bordages. Anyway, that's the current state of affairs. There is certainly a lot of thunder rolling in Alabama. Yowzers, that is an active cell indeed. It could be accompanied by damaging wind and hail with that much lightning. And here's your full lightningmaps.org view, lightningmaps.org. Check it out next time you hear thunder. We are not paid to say this. We're just citing facts. Citing facts. Controversial on pathetic big tech platforms since approximately 2015. Next, radar.weather.gov. It's our U.S. Doppler radar map showing vertical motion of water droplets and indeed ice crystals. We'll focus on the lower 48 and close this mother out. There's how things are moving. Here is your shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. It's too dark to use the visible satellite over most of the country. And there is water vapor. And we've got some dry mass of air here providing an impulse and creating additional huge pressure gradients here. You're going to see massive pressure gradients across the east. As that crosses the Mississippi Valley, that is a bunch of dry, massive air. And if you're wondering why dry air is more massive than moist air, it's because of the molecular mass of nitrogen versus H2O. Yes, nitrogen. It's more massive than water vapor. Here's your recap. Them's the facts. And lots of moisture making its way into California there, as well as making its way into North Carolina. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News. Once again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists despite the pathetic, putrid, and disgusting censorship by various criminal organizations who mislead their investors, which, by the way, is still illegal even in a banana republic former nation. Anyway, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News. Facts stated in this video shall be suppressed by criminal big tech organizations for your convenience. Also, your news feed shall be curated for user experience. Opinions expressed in this video not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News.